Hello everyone, my name is Dragonheart the Prince of Wales and welcome to a bonus video on my channel. Today we're going to be doing something brand new called Dragon Sport News, and we're going to be talking about the RBS Six Nations 2017. Now, me being a Welshman, obviously I'm going to have some bias towards this, but I'm going to try and keep this as objective as possible. I'm going to make it fair, and I'm going to talk about each of the teams and what I think about this year's tournament. First of all, before we begin, I want to say a big well done to England for winning the tournament. They were the best team overall. They played the 5 games. They won 4. They lost 1, which was against Ireland, which was the last game of the championship, which it actually cost them the Grand Slam. If they'd beaten Ireland, they would have won the Grand Slam and would have beaten every team. They finished with 19 points. They had 2 try bonus points, and they had 1 losing bonus point, which they picked up against Ireland. 19 points, very well done to them. They were the best team overall. There were a couple of games where they could have lost. They could have lost to Wales. Wales more or less given the game away at the end. Didn't have the right discipline in the match against England. And also the France game at the start of the championship. That was a very close game as well at one stage. So, they held on. They were the better team, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the bulk of the Lions Tour team being made up of this England squad. They're a good squad. They got good players coming through. They got good players. They like Courtney Laws. They got players that have they can deal with the pressure, and they've shown that. They've bounced back tremendously since the last World Cup as well, at the end of 2015. So yeah, good stuff for England. Well done. You were definitely the best team in the tournament. Moving on to Ireland. So Ireland finished second in the tournament. After their 5 games, they won 3 of them, and they lost 2 of them with 1 try bonus point and 1 losing bonus point. I'm looking at the screen right now just to double check. They had 14 points, which was tied with France and Scotland as well. So joint second, if you will, but Ireland on try difference and point difference finishing second. Bit of an average tournament from Ireland's kind of point of view. They beat England, who were the champions, who won the tournament, but they were poor against Wales. I say poor against Wales. It was actually a very good game, one of the best games of the tournament, but they couldn't get the victory against Wales, and they also lost to Scotland as well, which was a bit of an upset at the time, because Scotland, I think most people for a few years now have considered Scotland to be like the 5th best team in the tournament, but they have really proved many doubters wrong. They've been a good team to sort of watch in this tournament. They've had a good attacking style of play, and it's nice to see Scotland actually improve. But from Ireland's point of view, a bit of an average tournament. I think there's a few players now in the Ireland squad that could probably be replaced, try and get some new blood in there. The old Ireland team of old now, that's the players that were in that original team are not going to have the same effect now as the team going forward. So I feel like there's definitely changes need to be made in the Ireland squad. Overall, though, they're probably pretty happy finishing second, and well done to Ireland. Okay, so moving on to France now. France finished third, although, like I said, joint second. France were very French in this tournament. That's the only way I can describe them, really. They lost to England, they beat Wales, they lost to Ireland, and they beat the rest. It was a very French tournament. Very, they won the games that you probably wouldn't have thought they would win, but then they lost the games you think they wouldn't lose. They were, especially in the Wales game, they were very good going forward, very good ball handling as well. I think France probably the best ball handling team in the Six Nations and in the Northern Hemisphere. They're so aggressive at going forward. It's something which you see a lot of in the Southern Hemisphere with teams like Argentina, Australia, New Zealand particularly. They sort of, the way they run at you and just palm the ball off easily. You don't see it in the Northern Hemisphere too much, but France are pretty good at doing that, where they just drive players in, commit defenders in, and then just palm the ball off quite easily. They played some good stuff at times. It's a shame we didn't see it too often with France, but the controversial ending of the Wales-France game is something which obviously leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm going to save that to the end of the video to talk a little bit about that. But France finished third, Scotland finished fourth. We touched upon Scotland earlier when we talked about Ireland, but I think Scotland were the most improved team in this year's tournament. They were, without doubt, a joy to watch at times. They beat Wales in a pretty good game for them. They had 14 points, joint second, but obviously Ireland and France having more points and tries and stuff, finishing above them. Scotland going forward, they've been the whipping boys of the home nations the past few years, but obviously this year they proved many teams wrong. They beat Wales and they beat Ireland. They got trounced by England, which was probably their biggest disappointment. If they had, even if they'd lost by a smaller scoreline, I think that would have been, progress for them, but it was almost like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back with that loss against England. But Scotland, as you know, it was great to see Scottish rugby on the up. They've only got 2 regions as opposed to Wales and Ireland, which in the Pro 12 have 4 each. So it's nice to sort of see Scottish rugby actually do well in the Six Nations for a change, and it really brought you back to sort of the early 2000s. I think 2000 was the last time Scotland won the Six Nations, so going back a while now, 17 years. So it's nice to see Scottish rugby actually doing well again. Okay, so now we're going to talk about my nation of Wales. Wales finished 5th. It was a very poor tournament by our standards. We only won 2 games. We lost 3. The games that we won were Italy, which we expect to win, and Ireland, which in my opinion was one of the best games of the tournament, the Wales-Ireland game. But we were disappointed against Scotland. We threw the game, not so much throwing the game away, because that's disrespectful to Scotland, but we didn't play as well as we could have. I felt like we didn't capitalise on the Scottish mistakes, and we made too many ourselves, and that's been the bane of our tournament. That's, you look at the sort of statistics from each Welsh game that we had, and the handling errors, the penalties we give away, it's just the whole package really. The scrum, especially in the France game, the scrum at the breakdown, it's just terrible stuff. Stupid points being given away. I feel like that discipline is what cost us in the end. If we had better discipline, we could have finished higher up the Six Nations table. Who knows? Maybe even won it. And that's, in rugby, especially in Six Nations, it's small margins. If we had beaten England, this could be a very different and very competitive tournament, which could have gone between 5 nations in the end, going down to the last game. Who knows? But obviously we didn't beat England. We didn't beat Scotland, which is probably the thing for us which hurts the most is probably losing to Scotland, because we have beaten Scotland for how long now? 10 years or so. We know Scotland have not beaten us for 10 years, and they did it for the first time in 10 years by beating us. So disappointing all around for Wales. Moving on to Italy before we go on to the thing I want to talk about in today's video. Italy were very much Italy of every year. Sometimes I wonder why Italy are in the Six Nations, because they very rarely win. I know they had a shock victory a few years ago against France, which was like, oh my god, they just beat France. But they played 5, they lost 5. They didn't have any bonus points. They didn't have any try bonus points, and they had no points at all. So it's not much to say about Italy. They were the worst team in the tournament. Everybody beat them. And you do wonder, I mean, I sometimes think this as well. Would it be better to have more teams in the Six Nations, or even have a qualification? So whoever finishes bottom of the Six Nations has to play a playoff against another team like Georgia, for example, or Germany. I know Germany, Romania, and especially Georgia have rugby teams, and they are sort of on the up. They're sort of like second tier rugby in Europe. But Georgia, I mean, at the World Cup a few years ago, they looked really good, really promising stuff. So I think they finished 3rd in their group, didn't they, in the last World Cup? So Georgia are a very good team in rugby. So that's a suggestion of mine. Have maybe a playoff or something to get into the Six Nations to make it a bit more interesting. So then you're not only looking at to try and win the tournament and win the Calcutta Cup and win the Triple Crown, but also looking down to not go into a playoff where you could actually lose your place for the next year's competition. So that's a suggestion of mine to make it a bit more interesting, spice it up, make it a bit more competitive down that end of the table. But Italy were very much the Italy of old in this tournament. Okay, so we're going to finish off now about the France and Wales turmoil, which you can see right next to me, just there. I can't get my hands right now. The end of the France-Wales game was absolutely shambolic. So if you didn't see it yourself, basically we got to around the 79th minute, going into the 80th minute of the game. France had a 5-metre scrum, an attacking scrum. France would put in away from the Wales try line. And this one set piece went on for about 20 minutes. The match ended, we were into the 99th minute, or get on for the 100th minute basically of the match by the time the match ended. And we just kept going back and forth. We have a scrum, referee tells the Welsh players off, tells the French players off, we reset, we go again. He says that the pack weights move forward, reset, go again. And Wayne Barnes, for the most part, is not a bad referee, but in this particular match, he had a bit of a shocker. It was just reset, scrum, then France would win the scrum, the ball would go left. It looks like France got a man over. George North gets tackled and it goes down. Claims of a bite. George North's going to the referee, look, I got a bite on my arm by here. Referee's then going, right, blow up, I want to go to the TMO. It is a bite. I've seen the bite mark myself. Can I award anything? Can I go to the review? There's no conclusive footage, Wayne. Okay, carry on. And then it's just farcical. And then you had the French doctor on the field. The French doctor was saying he's got a head injury. He's going to have to go off. Okay, so the player that's off now has got to go back on. Then it was like, I'm warning the Welsh players now. You go again, and you'll be down to 13 men rather than 14 because we actually had a player who was sin binned for 10 minutes. The player that was sin binned for 10 minutes, because we'd gone on for so long, had basically been sin binned for his part in the scrum on this original set piece, had his full 10 minutes and came back on afterwards to complete that set piece. You know, every time he kept resetting it. So it was absolutely bizarre. It was terrible. And I think the commentator, I can't remember which one said it, but he summed it up very well. He said, I wouldn't pay £84 for this. I was thinking, yeah, if I was a fan in a stadium and I paid that much money, because it's expensive, rugby tickets are very expensive. If you paid £84 to sit in a stadium and watch that and just see the same set piece going over and over again for 20 minutes, then, you know, this is why I prefer football. This is why I prefer football to rugby, because I'm not saying I don't like rugby. I do. I love rugby, but I've always been more of a football fan than a rugby fan because of this. Cause I find it hard to watch rugby when you've got these the game doesn't flow. It's so many breakdowns, so much stuff that's stifling as a viewer to watch that it becomes really frustrating. And seeing this constantly reset was annoying. Obviously, France. The referee should have been strong enough and should have said, "Look, I'm warning both teams now. Next one is a penalty try if he thinks there's going to be enough to award a penalty try. He doesn't award the penalty try, but then he doesn't stop from giving these scrums over and over again, and it's just so annoying. Just so annoying to watch as a viewer and as a fan as well. So it was really annoying overall. I think I've got that point across. I've calmed down a bit now. I was a bit animated at the time. Me and my father were watching the game yesterday, and I'm recording this the day after, obviously. It was quite annoying watching it on TV. But yeah, as a rugby fan, as a viewer, it was just hard to watch. And Wales were disappointing in this tournament. Wales got a lot of work to do. I can't see too many of this Wales team getting in the Lions squad. In the last tournament, 4 years ago against Australia, the British and Irish Lions had a very good tournament. We actually won the Test series against Australia 2-1. It was a good thing. You know, it was a good experience for us. The bulk of the Lions team was made up of Welsh players, but I can't see it this time. What was it? 40 players they got to pick from. So you assume, okay, 4 nations, 40 players, 10 players apiece. But I can easily see 18 players coming from England. I can see quite a lot of Irish players being there, and I can see quite a few Scottish players getting in the team, more than last time. So I'm looking at this Wales team now and thinking, who's lived up to it? Who do I think will get in? North will be in the squad. Bigger will be in the squad. You know, I think Almond Jones will be in the squad. But the Welsh front row, no, the pack, you know, the scrum, the scrum was one of the weakest points from a Welsh point of view in this year's tournament. I just don't know how many of these Welsh players are going to get in that squad, because our forward line was terrible. I can see some of our backs getting in, but I can't see many getting the British and Irish Lions squad come the summer. So yeah, overall disappointed. But bring on the summer, guys. Hopefully we can have a good Lions tour now as the home nations get together, and hopefully we can have a good time in New Zealand as well. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. It's a bonus video, something I just wanted to do. I've never done a rugby video on my channel before, but maybe I'll revisit this sort of thing in the summer and do a British and Irish Lions one once we have that as well. I'm going to probably do more of these, and there'll be more about football and stuff. But as the Six Nations finish this weekend, I thought it'd be a nice time to start it by doing this. So if you like this video, guys, and by all means drop a like on the video, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you later. Goodbye for now.